Hi chess friends, this is King's Executor, and well, I told you that I retired from chess, from serious chess games, um, but anyway, I came to help out my team, my former team, by playing today for them, and you can tell that I'm not really in in great shape. I couldn't do very much for my chess. I'm busy with other things. So I prepared some lines, and I had white today and played, of course, my bird's opening. So again, I'm not prepared in the best way, but come what may, I played the bird, and my opponent played the opening quite reasonably, and we had this typical position. The move order is more or less unimportant. Okay, now the game went a little bit unprofessionally, let's say it that way. Best would be, in my opinion, now to play c5, knight c6, and then you can look what to do. My opponent played differently, trying to test my opening, and he played d4. This is what I already encountered. I've covered that in another video, probably slightly different situation there, but again, this d4 push very early in the game, and that cannot be a very good approach. You are not developed, you don't have anything to back this up, and I don't like pushing pawns early if you don't know what to do about them, if you don't have power behind them by due to lack of development. So I thought really what to do. I've covered this in other videos. You have the chance to play c4. You have the chance to play c3, which I have played. You have the possibility even to push e4. This is not what I like, him taking en passant, and I don't like this this awkward pawn formation. Then this pawn on f4 doesn't make sense if you just do it this way. You can do that with black in the Leningrad of the Dutch defense, but that's another matter. I've covered that in the Dutch defense videos as well. So here I played c3 simply. I mean, if he takes, I just have an extra pawn controlling the center, and he has one central pawn missing there. Now I expected c5 to, have a stronghold in the center. He played knight c6, and I thought about playing queen a4 here. This is not the move I played in the game, but this would have been fine technically. For example, he could take and now play something like this, and then you see he has a lot of pressure in the center with his pieces. My pawn is under attack here. I have to watch out for my rook and important Leningrad bird bishop. I would have to go back then and see how clumsy my queen side is. I cannot really leave this diagonal with the bishop, so the bishop cannot really move. I cannot interfere with this diagonal by playing knight d2. Knight a3 doesn't do very much here. In fact, the knight has to protect c3, and the rook is stuck for the time being. And actually, I would like to be able to play bishop b2, and neutralizing this bishop. This is not possible at the moment because of the knight. So this would be technically all right. Say bishop g4, and e4 would be wrong here. For example, there are tricks like this, and yeah, for example this, and it's not very nice. It's actually losing here. You can play, I mean, this position is alright, but it's a little bit awkward for white. If I wouldn't retreat with the queen here, say, well, I would have to, but yeah, he could play knight b4 here, and then I'd have to play something like queen b2, and this is really awkward. You don't want to play like this, although the engines say it's absolutely equal, but I don't want to play like this as white. So let's go back to the game. I rejected queen a4. I played knight a3, a bad move. Let's look at alternatives. Bishop d2, that's okay. Can play bishop d2, queen here, then you have a stronghold here, then you can play knight out, knight here, and then you have a lot of pressure here, you have control here, and everything here is fine. Another way to play would be queen e1, and this is what you should do. I didn't do that, but I mean, he could. What they are trying to do, the amateurs, is going knight g4 and like hopping into the square as if it would be a winning idea. It's not at all. It might be rather losing, because then I would kick the knight, inviting it, take, and then this pawn is actually lost, probably. Something like e5 or rook e8 pushing e5 would be the answer here. Say e5, then takes, then this is a typical position that might arise. You have a backward e-pawn, but black has also the bishop pair. He has the open files to work against those awkward pawns, and I mean, again, it's equal technically, but I don't want to be in this position as white. I don't want to be like a fake white player being actually like a black player here. I want to be on the white side. So if in this position, to round up this pawn, rook e8 first, then you have to know what to do after e5 here. Now the queen is awkwardly placed vis-a-vis the black rook. Takes, and then you go back, and again it's more or less the same situation. You have the bishop pair, and if you want to solve this problem of the backward e-pawn and you push it, then this pawn gets weak. I mean, it would be ideal to be able to play d4 and maybe e5 afterwards, but c5, and black has an edge here, and you see the rook is coming into the game. There's pressure here, there's pressure here. If I want to defend here, why is my f file open? These are all things. I mean, if the engine says that you can play rook ad1 and just give away the pawn, and yeah, it says the continuations are this or this, and why would you want to play such a mess? So is why after knight c6 here, queen e1, looking at c3, and again this idea is difficult. Maybe this is why I rejected this. Okay, so I played knight a3, overlooking actually that this move actually loses the pawn here. This is not the game continuation. He didn't take on c3, but this would be best play, and I would have to play knight b1, and he can take anyway and wins a pawn, and yeah, plays something, and looks good for black here. Although being up a pawn, white has to struggle a lot. Again, there's a little bit of pressure here. Moves like knight e5s or so might unleash the bishop, but it's you have to fight for the draw here as white. So knight a3 was a mistake. So let's go back. What to play then? Maybe not c3 first. Maybe knight a3 first. And if, say, knight c6 or maybe even c5, then you can play queen e1, knight c6, and c3 is possible now. If knight d5, you would have to think what to do. If you push c4, you have to know that there are two knights coming into b4. You can just wait with the developing move, and this is all okay. This is probably my suggestion after d4 from black. But okay, I played c3, maybe a little bit early, although the engine thinks it's fine. Knight a3 is a mistake. This is the game continuation. c4 is my decision here. Knight d4 is the mistake. He should have taken on c3, winning the pawn, as I showed you. He played knight d5, he overlooked it, and c4 now is a good move. He came into e3, and I hope to win this pawn on e3, but you also have to watch out for the b2 pawn. You see that the black fianchettoed bishop is quite strong. Your rook is in the on this diagonal, so I played rook b1 first, rook b8, just getting out of my bishop's range as well. Knight c3, c2, attacking the pawn, and e5. This is what he has to play if he wants to keep the pawn on e3. And I took with a knight, and this starts to get critical now. Over the board, you see it's actually not that bad, that pawn here. It protects our backwarded, unprotected e-pawn, but I'm not so sure about white's position here. And I played one of the best moves here. My engine says it's the best. I played d4, gaining space. I mean, black has the bishop pair. I have to gain tempos, I have to develop, I have to get something going. I either need this pawn and my pawn here. That would be great if I could achieve this, but if you won't let me, I won't achieve it. He has b5 and then activates his bishop. If he gets his rook's file opened, and he has strong bishops. Anyway, this position is equal according to the engines. Now, I thought about queen d3, rounding up that pawn. You always have to keep an eye on d4, and here you actually have to take it with the queen next move, so the d4 pawn is still protected. But then I saw bishop f5, and now this is uncomfortable. Look at this strong bishop, and your rook is just wrong in a way. You have pressure here, you have pressure here, and if you would be obliged to play something like bishop e4, then why the hell play this opening? It would be very uncomfortable playing such a position, but it's possible. But again, look how clumsy the white pieces are. You can make a mistake at any point. You have to play knight d1 here, for example, getting the pieces out of the way, out of the rook's way. And after something like f5, I wasn't so keen on such a position here. Still, technically it's equal. It looks good for white here for the time being, but after rook e3, it goes backwards somehow, and I wouldn't really love to play white here. So again, so this would happen after, this could have happened after queen d3. Very uncomfortable. So I started thinking about, in this position, bishop e4 to prevent bishop f5 from black. I thought about what I did then. So I played bishop e4 first, because after c6 here, not to allow my pawns to advance, I can play queen d3 now, attacking the pawn, but it doesn't help. The rook is in the game, and yeah, it's very uncomfortable for me. It's not so easy. Let's go back to this position. Queen d3 is again possible if bishop f5, as we saw. I looked at rook takes. This sacrifice is interesting, maybe even necessary. It's better. It's the best continuation for white after bishop f5. And then you would have to play something like this. And you want to play bishop e4 to mate black. Queen c8 would have been the practically only move to keep the balance in a way. Then queen d3, and he could take then here. This looks a little bit awkward, but white's better. After bishop here, the queen defends h7, the rook comes into the game. This is all lines that are possible. It's very complicated. There's many lines that you have to look over the board. Of course, you can't like an engine, but this would be a winning way for white here. So after, in this position, queen d3 and bishop f5, rook f5 would have been the move, but I wasn't so keen on forcing myself into this, so I played bishop e4. This is not best. Queen d3 would have been more accurate, but again, it's a move and it works. So c6, queen d3 now. The rook comes into the game. You see this pawn is not so easy to get. There are bishops everywhere. This pawn is under attack. You cannot really move that freely. And if you think that you want to round up this pawn and defend it with rook f to d1 to keep this pawn defended here because of this bishop, there is this move here, and queen. The queen is really skewered here. Say something like this, and then you lose a lot of material. So in this position, this is the game position, I played the better move. I played rook b to d1. Again, I want to have the right rook defending d4, and then I can take here, yeah, with a knight. Now rook e4 wouldn't work because of the sacrifice again, and this is winning for white. Should be winning. Again, rook b to d1, and now he played bishop g4. This is the game, and I wasn't keen on taking on e3. That would be probably losing. Let's look at it. Yes, there's this what I saw at the board. He could have done this trick, simplifying to a winning position, and he would just have exchanged the two pawns here and get a very active game, and my bishop is gone on g2. So after bishop g4, I could have played rook f4, but I wasn't keen on playing that too because of f5 and bishop h6, and I mean the engine says it's equal more or less, but uncomfortable, I guess. So here after bishop, I played bishop g2, and I got my pieces out of any any rook tricks, and he played bishop f5 here, and now I was ready to take and sacrifice this exchange here, and I wasn't sure how good it was, but I didn't see anything else. If you just move away, I was afraid of losing my d-pawn because my defender of it is able to be taken. So I took this, and this is the best move for white. And now taking with the queen to get this battery is not that accurate, I think, because of queen f6, and I don't want to exchange queens here, or else I will probably lose due to being down the exchange. I want to keep the pieces on the board. This is why I played rook f1. This is the best move. Again, let's go back. So rook f1, and he played a move I wouldn't have played, queen b6. The problem is, why did I sacrifice the exchange? Maybe I could be able to get the knight into the game somehow, first of all. Secondly, I could get this rook into the game and then attack the h-pawn and the king. Thirdly, I could get my bishop into the game, maybe with moves like d5, takes, and then I have pressure here. I take this pawn, and f7 is under attack. So my idea was simply, I have to get some sort of initiative, some sort of attack, and the engine proved me right. Queen b6 is okay, but the engine says best move is b4, maybe kicking the queen with c5 later. If the queen is kicked with c5, you could get a knight to c4 and then to d6, That would be a very good knight. But that would be long-winded, and he could just exchange it if wanted. Yeah. So I didn't play b4. I said I sacrificed the material for an attack, and now I took on f5, preparing. Well, first of all, I'm attacking f7 here with check. That's the threat. And bishop g4, e4 is the next move to attack the h-pawn. Rook e7 is correct. I played my bishop out, and the engine says bishop d4 is correct, queen b2 is correct, but it's difficult for a human to play this. You're under pressure. The queen can take with check. The king has to move. Then the pawn is pinned because of the rook. Bishop here, queen here, and then you have a battery against this pawn. It's not so clear. Again, the engine says it's equal, but h6 is not the best move in the world. But it's still okay. I thought about like how to attack correctly here, how to force him into a bad position, and I found the move the engine really needed a lot of time to find for. So I played rook f4 here, getting my rook to the attacking side, or to the to the king side, and the engine didn't see that at first. Very funny. Here he has to be exact. He can still take on b2, maybe do something on this diagonal, maybe attacking the king with check and getting this pawn or whatever. The point is, you shouldn't fiddle around as black. Now you're under pressure, you have to be exact. And he played rook b to e8, and this is simply a gain of time for me and a waste of time for him, because there are threats. I played the best move, check here, and again the best move. I'm attacking the bishop. I calculated this all along, and now I thought how to get him. The point is also one of the points of the sacrifice of the exchange. You have opposite side bishops here, and you can therefore attack, and maybe attack very successfully, because he doesn't have the piece that you have in the attack to defend or to neutralize it. And now I'm very strong on the light squares. And here I found the move my engine needs a lot of time for to find. And I thought about a move like bishop here and then bishop here, threatening queen g8 mate. And if he takes that bishop, he's made on g7. His bishop hangs. But this is not a forcing continuation. If I play bishop f4 here, he can just go rook c7 and give his king some breathing squares to flee. And this is simply almost equal. Still white is better, but it's no big advantage anymore. So I had to play the forcing line, and this was bishop g6, funnily enough. Like, how the hell am I gonna penetrate with my queen? And now I'm closing in my queen. Well, he played this rook here just to be kicked again, which, well, he played rook here. It's important. Let's go back. I mean, how to mate black here. It's a question. I mean, if I somehow could get my queen here, it's mate. Yeah, so I thought about c5, bishop here, somehow dominating these light squares. But it's not so easy and it's not so forceful. The best move is bishop g6, gaining time. And now it's very important to understand why to play bishop g6 here. You have to play bishop h5. And now you're building the mating net around the king. Here, there's the only move that kind of holds on to the position, still losing, probably, is c5. That opens the queen's line here. And then white would have to find the right move, and the right move here is knight takes e3. If I would have proceeded with the move I would have, I was threatening here to take. I mean, I'm threatening to take g7. He takes back, or I'm mating him, and then I play check, and then he either loses the rook because the king has to go here, or he goes back with his rook and I checkmate him on f6. So there's mate threatening. c5 helps this, and if you just go on with your idea here, now f6 is protected. I cannot mate him. I can only force a perpetual check here. Again, he has to go back or else he loses his rook. So I played bishop h5 and he took the pawn. He didn't even realize that I'm threatening mates. And now I have a forced mate. He took this, and king e7 prolongs things. He played rook g8. He overlooked it. He played quickly, and I mated him here. Let's look at the right continuation, still losing here. This is why the bishop on h5 is so important. The king has to go away from protecting the rook, and here this checks and you draw the king into the center of the board. You can even sacrifice your material here, check. I mean, the king has only two squares, h3 and g5, and no matter what, he's mate. I mated him this way. He only saw it when I said checkmate. He was quite shocked. Well, just to sum up the game, if your opponent and your opponent's will push d4, that happened to me at least 2 times now in like not so many bird games. Then knight a3, something like queen e1 here, c3, bishop d2, something like this, and afterwards you look what you do, like knight here, then you can think about what to do afterwards. This is my recommendation, but after d4 I played c3 a little bit early, and I played this bad move, knight a3. He didn't take advantage of it, and I felt quite under pressure here. Not the best move here, but it is a move, and this was important to find rook b to d1 as a move. This would have been a big mistake. Another way is d5, but I wasn't so sure, because if I play d5 I can practically well, he can play c5, and then I can never take the e pawn, the black e pawn, because his bishop might get into d4 later, and that weakens the king's diagonal here. So this pawn kind of protects this king as well. So you have to decide when to take and when better not to take it, depending on the position. I'm quite under a lot of pressure here, and I was obliged to take this, and it was correct taking it. And rook f1, not allowing any queen exchanges. Queen b6 is okay technically, but I wouldn't have played in this manner as black. Black is up some material. White has some weak squares around the king. You have to play solidly here, or play like a master and calculate everything through. So queen f5 was my move. You had to protect. I'm threatening check on h7, and rook f4, very important. I mean, the knight here is obliged to stay on c2 for the time being. I have to kind of protect my very important central pawn. If the queen comes down here, the knight is protected. Who cares? The further away the queen is from the king's side, the happier I am. He could have misplayed then. It's not easy defending this. The rook here was a waste of time. He could have maybe simply, I don't know, well, not in this position because of check, but maybe, no, again there's check. So let's go back. Yeah, he has to defend f7. He could have gone back with the queen, but I mean, it's going back and forth, right? So queen b6 wasn't my kind of move, let's put it that way. So check, and then of course you have to pound down on this bishop. You have to at least find forcing lines to get a perpetual check, if somehow possible, and if possible, you just made him. And now look how terrible his kingside looks. And bishop g6 and bishop h5 was the winning maneuver. He took the pawn and I mated him. Thanks a lot, and I hope you got something out of the game. And like the video please, and comment it. Appreciate it. Bye.